The Caribbean Court of Justice has dismissed the case brought by Jamaican activist Maurice Tomlinson. Tomlinson was challenging Belize's immigration laws, claiming the law discriminated against him being a homosexual man. Tomlinson had challenged the immigration law of Belize, stating that it was discriminatory and that it had violated the rights of LGBT persons that live in the Caribbean to move freely within the CARICOM region. Tomlinson had to seek to be heard as an individual in the case because his home country, Jamaica, had refused to bring the claim on his behalf. This morning, the 13-minute ruling from the Caribbean Court of Justice was delivered. Solicitor General Nigel Hawke spoke to the media following the ruling.
Mr. Tomlinson application has been dismissed based on what the court said. We have to read the judgment fully in order to give you a proper understanding of what the court, based on what the court said. You know, the application is dismissed based on state practice, right? And the fact that Mr. Tomlinson did not ever come to Belize was turned away. In fact, what the court was saying, he basically was trying to preempt the states of Trinidad and Tobago and Belize, right? So on that basis, the court dismissed the application. So we feel vindicated that our position all along was that our state practice is fundamentally different. When we read the judgment, the reality is we're part of CARICOM, and I guess we have to look at the judgment now and take steps to see what we need to do in relation to our law. But clearly, the court mentioned Article 9, which they say in any event supersedes the domestic provisions in our laws.
The court concluded that homosexual CARICOM nationals have a right to freedom of movement essentially on the same terms as any other CARICOM national, and that the state practice of both Belize and Trinidad and Tobago is in keeping with that right. Attorney Lisa Schumann spoke of Tomlinson's argument in the case, which he based on Article 45 of the revised Treaty on the Chaguaramas, which says member states commit themselves to the goal of free movement of their nationals within the community.
You realize it applies to foreign nationals coming into Belize. And in terms of Mr. Tomlinson, his argument was the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, which assures freedom of movement for CARICOM nationals, as long as they are not quote-unquote undesirable. As the judge pointed out, the issue of qualification or skill really has little to do with it. This is a guarantee that all governments give to citizens. And so I believe it will be open to Mr. Tomlinson or any other CARICOM foreign national that comes in and is denied entry on the basis of homosexuality, for that person to then apply again to the Caribbean Court of Justice, because in my view, this was a ruling that really goes to a technical basis, which is that there was no actual denial of his rights, and therefore he didn't make out what he applied for. That's why the application was dismissed.
The court did not penalize Tomlinson due to the fact that it is a critical and important point of law. Belize had filed for Tomlinson to pay the court costs. That should be Belize had filed for Tomlinson to pay the court costs, but that was denied. Tomlinson released a statement via social media saying, quote, "The Caribbean Court of Justice denied my application for a declaration that the laws of Belize and Trinidad and Tobago, which ban the entry of homosexuals, violated my right to free movement in CARICOM. However, the court made it clear that as a homosexual, I must be allowed the right of entry into both countries, and that the states should act to repeal the laws which create confusion for CARICOM travel. This provides some clarity for Caribbean LGBTI people. As a result of the novel nature of the case, the court denied Belize's application for me to pay their legal costs." So, all in all, I am okay. There is no possibility of appealing the judgment, so it is now time for the states to act. End of quote.